I'm Kara Ray, founder of the Powerful and Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I'm a mother, stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for the powerful and ambitious online female entrepreneurs who desire to create wealth and abundance in all areas of their life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who are here to support you. They have unwavering points of views and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, sexuality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics, conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today I have Emily Warhank on the podcast, and she's a Christian business and mindset coach who helps women entrepreneurs step fully into God, who God created them to be. She's a wife and mom to 4 beautiful children, and she believes our purpose includes all aspects of our life, not just our business. So she's also created your Divine Upline brand, which is exquisite, and you have to go take a look, and we'll talk all about that at the end here. But welcome, Emily. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So every time I start the podcast, I always ask this one question. And that question is, what are you currently celebrating in your life and business right now?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm celebrating a couple things. So first of all, that I finished my devotional journal. It's like ready to go. I'm about to hit publish, but I am like, so I've been married for a while now, and I still haven't changed my name on my bank because I'm like one of those people. So I can't publish it until I go change my name. So I'm like, today, changing my name so that I can get it published. So I'm super excited about that. And also I just launched a new program that I have like the most amazing women in there. And we're just, I mean, we're only a couple days in, but it's like so cool seeing that they're all excited for it and what their intentions are for the program and stuff. So I'm just really excited about that.
Isn't that such a wonderful thing when you launch a program and women just fully connect with the purpose of it and they just have all these incredible transformations? It gives me all the feels. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love what you're celebrating. And congratulations on becoming a self-published author too, because that is something to celebrate. That's huge. So that's amazing. And we'll make sure to send me, once it is, I will update the show notes so we can have the link in there so people can go and take a peek at it as well. So make sure you send that to me after. And so we're going to dive right in. And so I have a question for you. Well, I have a few questions for you actually. But I've always been really curious about like religion, about beliefs, and about trusting our intuition and guidance. And so would you mind diving deeper into your journey as an entrepreneur and how you got to this space of trusting God and your purpose?
Man, okay, so I actually didn't grow up religious, which I think is really a blessing because I see a lot of people that have limiting beliefs because of their religion and like the church and what they have taught them is necessary to be good enough for God and things like that. So I didn't grow up religious, and I have been an entrepreneur now for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years. And I didn't have God in my business for a long time. I believed in God, but I didn't have God in my business. I didn't really think that was like necessary or what I needed to do to have a successful business. I just like powered through, hustled, did what my upline told me to do. And that was like my business. And then I started getting into like the law of attraction and spirituality there. And that was kind of what brought spirituality into my business, because I saw all of these coaches that were coaches and entrepreneurs in general that were using spirituality in their business, using law of attraction, using meditation and journaling and things like that to help them further their business. So that's where I started bringing spirituality into my business. And then for me, I connected it with God, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously this is, what kind of spirituality I'm supposed to have in my business. So I started using God in my business. And then it was like I wasn't necessarily being guided by him for a long time, but it just, let's see, how do I want to put this? So I decided to hire a coach. And when I decided to hire a coach, which you know who my coach was,
Yes.
when I decided to hire a coach, it was like God intervened and put me with Autumn. She's like incredible. But so she helped me figure out how to have God in my business basically, and how to, trust my intuition, trust my guidance, and really allow him to work in my business. And I also, part of that too, was I read my Bible all the time. So I was able to feel confident in what God was sharing with me instead of just like listening to what everybody else said, God was and religion was, and, how we were supposed to live our life in order to be good enough for God. So I read my Bible, and he convicted me, and still does. I still read my Bible every single day, but I'm like constantly getting convicted through the Bible, how I'm supposed to run my business and like how I'm supposed to think about things and stuff. It's pretty incredible. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay, good.
No, because it's all about like you and how your journey and how this was brought to play. Because I've had the pleasure of getting to know you and working, alongside with Autumn. And so I've known a different piece about you, about how it wasn't always, you weren't always guided through God and religion. And so I really wanted women to hear that side, because I know that there is a ton of women who are interested in spirituality in different religions, and they just feel restrained in trying to dive into it, almost like this judgment that they feel from other people. And so I'm sure you've probably had this happen, but has there ever been a woman that you've been able to connect with that really felt that her diving into, her connection with God or spirituality she was going to receive a lot of judgment for that, and she was really unsure kind of how to move forward? Like, I want to chat with you about that, because So I'll let you just kind of go with that. There's not necessarily a question, but more of like, if you have had, if you've worked with a woman who has struggled with this, and what you've helped them overcome, basically.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I have a lot of clients that come to me that are Christians that believe in the law of attraction. Like, that is who I usually tend to attract. And I think it's because there aren't a lot of coaches that kind of mix the two. It's like one or the other. So there are a lot of Christians, and I'm finding this more and more as I work my business and talk about my convictions. A lot of Christians that like believe in the law of attraction, but are afraid because there are so many people, like I said, that just think that the law of attraction and Christianity don't go together, that the law of attraction is like new age and not, appropriate for Christians to use, and that we're, our heart's wrong if we're doing that and things like that. So I attract a lot of people that are convicted on law of attraction and Christianity. So I have to help them kind of merge those two and realize that it's okay, that like law of attraction is all biblical. It's all, over and over again, you'll see verses in the Bible that talk about law of attraction, like praying, and if you believe it, you're going to receive it, or, ask anything in prayer and it'll be given. I have like a million of them that I can tell you that are like law of attraction, like, okay, this is it. Or just personal development in general, like mindfulness and like all the things that you read in books and stuff, like it all is in the Bible, which was written forever ago. And so it's really cool. So I have to I feel like most people that come to me that are struggling with that, I make them read their Bible. Like, I'm like, go start New Testament, start in Matthew, and just start reading. And you're going to realize that God is convicting you of this because it's biblical, because he designed it like this. And, as a Christian, that's what I believe, is that God designed the law of attraction to like make the universe run, right? So I have to, I just basically try to help them, like back up their convictions, if that makes sense, with biblical advice.
Well, and I love that. And I love that you touched on the fact that people are worried about how, the Bible was written so many years ago, but then also like the law of attraction is like new age. Whereas like if you are reading the Bible and you are looking at like present day now, that it still plays a significant role now, because it wasn't just for then. It was to grow and to continue to nurture through the entirety of life. Like, at least that's just how I see it. And I feel like that's kind of how you explained it a little bit. And so I think that's really interesting and intriguing. And a lot of people, I find that they kind of like push that aside or don't want to search into like their religion-based piece, because they feel like it's not in the now.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
absolutely.
I want to chat with you because I know that I've listened to you before in regards to talking about marketing and your ideal client. And I know that you have a strong message about this. And so what is some guidance that you would want to provide women who are listening to this episode, who are struggling to connect with their ideal client? Like, what would be something that you would want to help them guide through?
Okay, so like if you've already figured out who your ideal client is and you're wanting to connect with them, so most of the time I feel like your ideal client is kind of a past version of you. So it's really easy to like think back, okay, you know, before I mean, let's like, for example, say that you're a coach and you have this ideal client because like this is where you were a few years ago. Like maybe you were struggling in your business, you felt like you were doing all the right things, but like it wasn't working and you just couldn't figure out what it is. So like, what is it that if you would have seen it, you would have been like, this is perfect. This is who I need to talk to. So like I try to get people to kind of think back to where they were and what it is that they so desperately needed. Like maybe, I mean, I've heard before somebody saying like, if you could take a magic wand or if your ideal client could take a magic wand and fix everything, what would they change? So then you can, in your messaging, you can kind of show them what that change feels like, what it looks like in your life. Like this is the change that you have made already and what it looks like and what it feels like and kind of put it across that way. And the other thing that I want to mention is, because you were talking about this, the ideal client, a really good way to like, this is what I talk about a lot to connect with them also is think about where they're hanging out and like what they're searching for. So think about like Facebook groups maybe that they're in. Like I'm in a Christian group or a few Christian groups, and I'll post in their stuff and hint at the law of attraction. So that way I'm connecting to the people that are Christian that believe in the law of attraction. Or I'll post in like a law of attraction group and talk about how I'm a Christian. So people that are in there like have the permission to be a Christian also. So you want to think like where they're hanging out, what they're convicted on, and maybe what they're afraid of saying or what they're afraid of thinking, and go in there and talk about that. Because if you, like, so many of us are just like, we just post a general post, or, you know, like we go in groups and we just post a general post and we're like, hopefully we'll connect with our audience that way. But if you get really specific about something that maybe they're afraid to talk about or they're afraid to hear, but you know, they're feeling like they're going to be like, mind blown, I need to connect with this person. So that's like my best advice.
100%. And I agree with it completely. But I also want to touch on, because I've had a few conversations with women and other coaches about being worried that nobody's watching or listening. So like you said firmly about, you know, grounding yourself in who your ideal client is in that message, almost like the posts are a little bit triggering and people read them because it triggers them in a way that is something that they're currently going through. But in regards to like connecting, is especially because like working with like one of my clients, she has been following me since the very beginning. And she didn't say yes until, well, over a year. It took her that long to make the connection to say yes. And she watched the whole time. Did she comment? Did she do anything? No. Like, not at all. So, I just want women to know that, like, if you are so grounded in your message and in your purpose, that there are women who are watching, who are listening, who are there, and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like, sorry, go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and then I have another thing after.
Okay, you're fine. So I talk about this as like an iceberg. So like the tip of the iceberg, right, is out, and like I want to say it's like 30% out of the water and like 70% under or something. Like I don't know. I don't remember, but it's something like that, right? So like the tip of the iceberg are all of your likes and comments that you're getting, but underneath the surface, like for me, I'm Christian, so I'm like, underneath the surface, this is what God's doing, like God's work in there. So he is still sending people to see your message, sending people to watch your videos who aren't commenting or aren't doing anything. Like that's how many people are, like 70% of people aren't interacting with you, but they're still watching you and loving you. Like I had, when I was doing this most recent course, I had so many people message me about the course that are like, I love you. I've been following you forever. Like I want to do this course. And I'm like, I had no no idea that you were following me. Like I had no idea because they never say anything. And you got to think about it too. If you're talking about things that are kind of triggering, like for instance, like Christianity and law of attraction, there's not a lot of people that are like, yeah, I totally believe this too, because they're still scared. So, or like if you're talking about, building a business and being unapologetic and, living your purpose and being strong and confident, like some people, or you're talking about things that are hard, like maybe people are going through financial struggles. Like somebody's not going to go on there and be like, yeah, I'm so broke. Like, I can't wait. Let's chat. You know what I mean? Like people are going to wait a little while and then they're going to message you because they don't want to just be like online, like, yeah, I'm so broke. Like, let's talk. So you have to remember that some people are really just in the background because they're afraid to go out on social media, public, in front of everybody. Like if you have mutual friends, talking about their struggles, like they're just not ready for that. So they're just watching you and soaking in all of your information, and you're building them up to the point where they're like, I have to get in her energy. I need to hire her. I need to join her course. I need to join her team, buy her product, whatever it is, like, and they'll eventually do that. Or like selling weight loss products. Like people aren't going to go and be like, yeah, I'm overweight and I can't lose weight. Like they're not going to do that. They're going to message you privately eventually once they believe you. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to, like put that out there and be embarrassed.
Well, I agree. And like, it's building that trust and that relationship and rapport with your clients. So, and like clients and followers and like people that are in that space, is that every day that you're going on and like being intentional to create those relationships, I think is a huge thing too, because I've had a few conversations with women who are like, oh, well, maybe I'll post here or there, maybe I'll do this and just see the interaction. No, people want you to be present and want to hear you, and they want you to be visible, and that's how they see you. They want to know that you're all in and that your message is clear. Like, at least that's what I have seen from in my space, that like I firmly believe that I want to be active every day doing the things that I love to do, because that's what people are watching for. They're wanting you to be intentional, and they're wanting you to show up, because that means you're ultimately going to show up for them. And like the number of follower things, I was going to touch on that, because I feel like this has been a big conversation lately where people are talking about all their followers and the people that they have, and they're worried about having like 10,000 people on Instagram for a swipe feature. But like, honestly, I have to talk about it in here because that's not like, there's so many people that are already following you in the now that you don't even know of, or that you haven't even given gratitude towards, that you should be grateful for, that you don't even know that they're there. So like, people need to like step away from the numbers game. I have to.
So with you. I'm so with you there. Like I don't have a ton of followers. Like there are some times that like most of my live videos get like 100 to 150 views, like max. I mean, every once in a while will get in the 200s and I'm like, woohoo, so exciting. But I don't. But I still, like, I have clients. I have people signing up for my programs. I have people signing up for my programs over and over and over again, because like you don't need to have all of these people following you. You just need to have the people that you really connect with, that really love your message, that are like stoked about it. And really you can have like 5 of them and be making $3,000 a month. Like,
the whole thing about an ideal client, they're not everyone. So like 10,000 people are not going to be your ideal clients. Like they're just not. And like, even I think I have like 500 followers on Instagram. I'm not really sure. Like my community has like 130 women, and I have clients and I have programs and I have all these things, but it's because I nurture them now. I don't expect it to be this like massive thing. So I just wanted to chat about that a little bit. That could be a whole other yeah. So another question that I have for you is in regards to breakthroughs. And so, as coaches, that's the hugest thing that we love to see is women going through breakthroughs. But I think the biggest things that we sometimes lack to talk about is our own breakthroughs that we have gone through. And so I want to ask you, what is the biggest breakthrough that you've had in your business once you fully lean to trust and surrender with God?
Okay. Well, I feel like my biggest breakthrough really was stepping into this calling. Like for the longest time, God was pushing me to be a business coach, and it just wasn't the right timing, I guess. I like kind of would dabble in it for a second, but not fully commit. So it's kind of like you were saying, like I would do the post and see if there's interaction. If there wasn't, I'd be like, meh, maybe not. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. So for the longest time, I I didn't like, I think there was like 3 or 4 times that I like kind of dabbled in it because I felt God's calling for me to do this. And then it was hiring my coach that I don't know what it was, but it was some switch that happened. Like, it was like, this is where I'm calling. I know actually what it was. I was trying to figure out my ideal client. And so at the time I was in a network marketing company, I was selling makeup, which I'm not even huge into makeup. I was selling makeup because I loved network marketing. That was really all it was. Like, I love network marketing. I love being able to help women make more money. And that was what I was good at. Even when I was like, I was in another company that I did really well with. I was like almost at the top of the company, and I wasn't like good at selling. I didn't even really care that much about the products. I was just really good at helping people that joined me do a good job in their business. So like now I know why, like, obviously, because that's my strength, is helping people do well in their business. It's not selling products, it's helping other people do well in their business. So anyway, that was really where it came from, as I was trying to figure out my ideal client, and I just could not figure it out. I'm like, nothing is working, nothing's making sense. Like, I just could not pinpoint an ideal client. And that's when it was just like an epiphany. Like, that's because my ideal client is not a person that wants to join a network marketing company. My ideal client is somebody that's in a network marketing company or in a business, an entrepreneur already, that's stuck and wants to move forward. So anyway, that was really huge. So that was probably one of my biggest breakthroughs. And another big breakthrough I had was with following guidance. So I would like have these ideas but not follow through on them. And what I realized is when I would just follow through without thinking about it, like follow through without letting the fear stop me, without, me convincing myself that it's a bad idea. If I would just follow through, I always got rewarded every single time. And it was, the funny thing is, sometimes it wasn't like a reward that would make sense for what I did. Like, I would follow guidance on like maybe some random post, and I would have somebody message me about being a customer or a client or something that had nothing to do with the post, like, or something like that, or like deciding to create this course, and then I would have somebody message me about being in another course or something. Like, now I can't think of a specific example, but it was like I would follow my guidance, and then I'd be rewarded somehow. Even if it didn't make sense, I would still be rewarded, because God is like, okay, you're following what you're supposed to be doing. This is where you're supposed to be going. So like, it was a big breakthrough on not limiting the reward, not limiting what was going to happen from me following my guidance, and just follow the guidance without thinking about it, and just see what happens and be open for things happening. Does that make sense?
I love it. Yes, it does.
Okay, good.
And I want to chat a little bit more about like the breakthroughs and like the trust and surrender piece, because even like once you actually start trusting and surrendering, which can feel so complicated to so many people, because they always try to figure out, well, how do I do that? The how. And really the whole how of trust and surrender doesn't matter. It's like, right. It does not matter. But like even yesterday, and it's like how everything works in like this alignment and like the law of attraction and all of these things, and putting up your vibration and all that lovely stuff. So I could talk about the universal laws like crazy. But in regards to like coaching and, clients. So for example, yesterday I had an interview with a woman who's like a manifestation queen and loves talking about LOA. We are now talking about LOA today, and we're talking about different things. But then yesterday, talking about rewriting money stories and all these things and bringing all this wealth in, then I hop on a client call and I get a client and I rewrite these different things and I work through these things. And it all comes to you when you work and you just literally trust, and then it blows your mind. Where every time you're like, wow, that was so effortless and easy. And I think what people forget too is like that whole reward is that it gets to be effortless and easy when you just trust and you follow your intuition or your guidance, or, God, or whatever you're guided towards. Is that when you actually start anchoring into that and following that and being intentional every single day, like magic happens where you can't even fully explain it. And to you, that's probably, God's work and He's working into your business. Where for me, it still blows my mind sometimes where I'm just like, what just happened in life right now? Like, there's no explanation for it. And so I hope women who are listening, when you and I are talking, because, when we both worked with the same coach, and I was actually working in a network marketing company at the time that I hired her. And I didn't And at the time, that was not what I wanted to do. And I remember her saying to me, what are you doing? This is not like, you are made for more. Like, there is more for you. And I was just like, you're right. It was one of those moments where you realize, like, yeah, I am made for more. Like, thank you. But like, working with her has just shown a whole different aspect of, like, you know, the trust and surrender piece, the ideal clients, and everything that I know that we've learned from her, and being able to connect with you. Like, I think people kind of forget how when you connect with one person, you're connecting with a ton of other people. So like through our coach that we worked with, we got to connect in this space and then have these beautiful conversations about the law of attraction, about God, about spirituality, and all these incredible things. But we had to work through and get to a certain point. Like, we had to work through a bunch of limiting beliefs and stuff that held us back to get to this point, to have these absolutely magnificent conversations about what all the breakthroughs that we've had. And so it just gives me chills, and I'm like, ooh, this is so exciting.
It is. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, the shifts that I had working with Autumn were just like mind blowing. Like, it's so funny. Like, you just be talking about something and she would say like one question. She would ask you like one question and you're like, oh my gosh, she's right. And it would change everything. Like, it's so crazy. She's magical.
Yes, she is. Yeah. So you guys, if you've never heard of Autumn, you should probably go check her out.
Yes, go explode your business with us.
And so before we kind of like wrap everything together, I want to ask you one more thing in regards to, is there one message that you wish you could share with all women? And if you have that one message, like, what would that be?
Probably just that who you are is who you're meant to be. Like, we're born with strengths. Like, obviously I believe in God, but like, we were created with strengths, with weaknesses, with gifts, with passions. We grew up in a certain way with certain parents, with, you know, the certain people at school and experiences and things like that. Like, it all was leading us here, and there's a reason. So really understand that if you're feeling called in a certain way, it's because you're supposed to be called in that certain way. And if you feel like, you know, you want to accomplish all of these things, it's because you're supposed to accomplish all of those things, and not to let anything hold you back, and just to like trust that you know, like for instance, I am like, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm thinking of? Determined. I am extremely determined. And this is in all of my different areas of my life. And like, recently I just have realized, like, I'm determined for a reason, because God wants me to accomplish these things, or, you know, the universe, or just whatever, you know, you were created to accomplish things. And if we let fear hold us back, or we let somebody tell us that, you know, we're wrong in how we feel or whatever, and we believe that and we take that on, then we're not gonna have the life we're meant to have. And we're all meant to be happy. We're all meant to use our gifts and use our strengths and our passions for a reason. Like, that they're meant for us, so we have to go for it. Yeah, that's it.
Mic drop. And so I love that message. I love everything that we've talked about today. And I know that there's going to be women who are listening to the podcast who are really going to resonate with your message specifically. And so in regards to that, if they want to connect with you further, can you share on here how women can connect with you?
Yes, so I mostly hang out on Facebook. It's Emily Nichols Warhank on my Facebook. And I also have a Facebook group called Your Divine Upline. And I have a podcast called Your Divine Upline. So you can find me in those places. That's where I hang out the most. I am on Instagram also at, it's your.divine.upline. I post stories a lot, but I just don't hang out there as much as I do on Facebook. So yeah.
I will make sure to have everything also hyperlinked in the show notes, so it'll directly be sent to the podcast and everything you have there. And so you guys, if you connect with Emily, make sure you go and connect with her, say hello to her. And thank you again for being on the podcast. And to everybody else, I will see you guys all in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Kara.